All right, you guys, welcome back, everybody. Once again, it's your girl Jasmine. So today we are going to be talking about trying again. Now, so often, many of us, we hate trying again, especially when we lose battles in our lives, when things just seem to go wrong. But we want to continue to try again so that we can get them right. All week long, I have been constantly hearing things about, and of course, I babysit, so I've been encouraging the little girl every time she loses. She says, well, I lost. And I keep telling her, well, if you lose, try again. Well, what happens if I lose again? Well, try again after that until you win. And so that's where we are at, basically. We're going to keep trying again until we win the battle. And so we're going to be talking about the children of Israel as they go in to try to possess the land. And so we're going to be looking at Joshua 1 verses 1 through 11. Also, we're going to be looking at Joshua 2 verse 1 and then Numbers 14 verses 6 through 9. So I encourage you guys to read over those and stay tuned for the lesson. All right, you guys. God bless. Peace. All right, you guys, so here we are in Joshua 1. It says, and now after the death of Moses and the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over the Jordan, thou and all the people, into the land in which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness of Lebanon, even unto the great river and the great river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea towards going down of the sun, shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for unto the people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their father to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, and that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, and thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the Lord people, saying, pass through the host and command the people, saying, prepare your victuals, for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan, to go in and possess the land in which the Lord your God giveth you to possess. In Joshua 2, verse number 1, and Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, go view the land of Jericho. And they went and came into a harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. I'm going to turn also to Numbers real fast, so then we can read over Numbers 14, verse 6 through 9. It says, and Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search, it is an exceedingly good land of the Lord. Delight. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defenses their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. All right, you guys. So I want to talk about a few things about when it comes to possessing the land in your life. And basically taking a second chance. Maybe you went to go spy out the promised land in your life. Maybe some things have occurred in your life where you went to go spy out the land and things just didn't seem right. You had to go through a wilderness in your life. So when we look back in Joshua, we see that Joshua had just became the lead. And we see that, Joshua and Caleb were the only two people. In Numbers 14, it said that Joshua and Caleb were the only two people who had gone into the land to go spy out the land, who had seen the land twice. They had entered into the land twice. Yet, things can be discouraging when you have to do things over and over and over and over again. It's like you failed the opportunity, and then the opportunity comes again and knocks at your door. What I have learned, and actually me and my grandma were talking about the other night, is actually when you're in a season in your life and you fail, you have to go back and do it all over again to learn the same lesson that which you missed out on the first time. So the second time is an opportunity to basically make up for what you missed out on the first time. God is going to continue testing you until you get it right. I had done the lesson on No Child Left Behind, how God is going to keep testing you until you get this situation right. He wants all his children and people to move forward, but we have to make sure we get what it is right in our lives. So here it is. We see Joshua basically had this door to knock at him again in his life. But Joshua is now with a new generation of people. And the people who had not encountered the same experiences as he did. Sometimes in our life we have people who have not encountered the same experiences as we have. It's a new generation, but we are trying to get to the place in which God has called us to be. We see that Joshua had came out of the land of Egypt, and he had seen Moses part the Red Sea, and he had entered into the promised land, saw the good of the land, and because of other people's opinions, other people's thoughts of what the land was, he ended up in the wilderness for 40 years. So for 40 years he wandered with the other people until they died off. And now the opportunity is knocking on his door, but now he's with a new generation of people. He's now able to get into the promised land. So what God has done is God had made him the leader over the new generation because he had seen the things in which the others had not seen before. See, the generation that he was with were born in the wilderness. There's a group of people in this world who are just born in the wilderness. They did not have the Egypt in their life. They just had the wilderness experience in their life. They were children of wilderness parents, and so because of that, they are about to possess the land in which God has called to give them because it was promised to them. And so Joshua had to go through a large amount of experience from Egypt, from the Red Sea to the wilderness. And now with this new generation, he's about to enter into the promised land. And so God, chose someone like Joshua to basically lead the people because of all the things that he's seen. Joshua knew what it was that was set before him because he had already had those experiences in life before. He already saw, he was part of the group that saw what was in the promised land. And so God allowed him to lead the people to carry them on because sometimes it takes someone who has an experience. When you think of a boss at your job, your boss has the experience to guide you to what it is that you need to do, to your goal, so here is Joshua. He has the experience of what it is that he needs to direct this new generation into the place in which God has called them to be. And so a lot of times in our life, God will place us around people who, we've been through this experience before, and he will use us to help them defeat the things in their lives to get over to the next place in their life in which they need to be. We think about like places like we were talking about, facing our giants in our life, and how the giants in our life, once we have defeated them, they are serving us now. Maybe God has placed you with a generation of people who, he's trying to allow you to help and teach them how you face this certain giant in your life. And so because you face that giant, you're able to help them get to the next place in which God has called them to be. So I'm going to put up the first few questions, and then we're going to carry on. All right, you guys. Peace. Have you came to a place in your life where an opportunity is knocking at your door once again? Are the people you are leading a new group of people who are taking this new step of faith with you? Are you experienced with this journey more than those around you? Alright, you guys, so when we were going to look back at like Moses, like when Moses led the children of Israel outside of Egypt, he was following God's directions, but not once did he ever have an example of what it was that he was supposed to do. This was something new to him. No one had done this before. It was him following God's instruction to get the children of Israel outside of the land of Egypt. It was complete and total faith. And you know what? Faith happens especially on the times and moments where things are brand new to you. Like new places bring new faith, because it's easy to believe God for something you've already seen before because you've already seen him do it. But it's harder to believe God on something that you've never seen him do before. So here, we see, when we first looked at Moses, Moses was leading the people out of, Egypt into towards the promised land, and he really didn't have anybody to follow instructions. I mean, like we can think about like maybe there's been time and a place in our life, and the only person that we've had to look up to is God. We've never been in that place before in our life, and there has never been a person around us who's been in that exact situation as us. We are just following the instructions of God, so it's just us listening to what God's saying. And there may be some error which we may encounter because we are the first person to ever go through this situation. So there's going to be type of error, but we look at like Joshua. Joshua was there with Moses, and he had seen everything and that happened with God and Moses, and how Moses was keeping tight communication with God, and how Moses was, so he had an example of what it was that he needed to do. And it's much easier when you have an example of what it is that you need to do versus on when it's something brand new, fresh. It's hard to explain. I think about myself when like talking about like following Christ and God telling me to get up and leave school and and travel and then follow him. That's brand new for me, and that's brand new for people in my family because it is out of the box. It's not something that was just your everyday normal, oh yeah, well, God told me to quit college. No, it was very out of the box. It's not like I had anybody footsteps to follow. I used to have to sit there and go online and Google other people who have followed Christ, but each and everybody person's walk is different and it varies. So though they may have left school to follow Christ because Christ told them to leave, or God may have told them to quit their job or something like that, still it did not matter because the things in which God was bringing me to may have been different than what God was trying to show them and bring them to. And so like that may happen in your life where, we can be like a Moses, and, we could be the person who is a fresh and anew and not have anybody, to show us besides God, look at the footprints of what it was that they did in their life to get them to point A to point B. But Joshua, had all that room to see, what Moses' mistakes were, what his failures were, what, he could have done better, and what the people, were doing. And, was he going to God with every situation? And was he doing this in every situation? See, Joshua had the up on what was going on because Moses, he was around Moses. He was able to see, the things in which Moses was doing. Okay, I'm going to go hear God. And there is different things, but there can come a point in our lives where, we can either be the person where we have no experience at all, or we can be the person who is looking at, the experience of others and where they made a mistake in their life when it comes to moving in new places in our life. So I'm going to put up the next few questions and then we are going to carry on. All right, you guys? Peace. Did the journey God sent you on, did you have someone to follow their lead, or had no one around you been on a similar type journey? All right, you guys. So one thing that we will see that when Joshua went to go into the promised land, that his strategy changed. We'll see in verse number 1 of chapter 2 of Joshua, it says, "And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy out secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went, and they came into a harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there." See, this time we see that we see how Joshua had seen the mistake of what Moses had done. And so what Joshua did was he said, go spy out the land and also go see Jericho, because Jericho was to be their first target. So he had them go spy out the land and then go see Jericho. See, Joshua had known from before that, it only takes 2, because only 2 of them actually made it in the land. Sending out so many people, like when you go and do something, when God is sending you somewhere where he needs you to be, maybe the first time when you went, you told everybody what it was that God was about to do for you. And, maybe everybody had their opinion in your life and you were searching for everybody's opinion and what it was. Oh, hey, this is this, or hey, this. And, to a point where it just confused you and like things went horribly wrong because you were taking advice. Maybe you were taking advice from people who had never even conquered their battles, conquered their struggles in their life, made it to their promised lands in their life because of certain things. Maybe they were still stuck in the wilderness and you were trying to get advice from them. And so, people who hadn't even made it to the promised land themselves, So, this time we see that Joshua had known, from before, him and Caleb were the only 2 to come back with a good report. So he knew that it took 2 people, 2 witnesses, just to give back enough information. It didn't take as much people as Moses had sent into the promised land the first time. And so that's exactly, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we stay away from people's opinions. This time when we're going into our promised land, we need to just keep everything low, like, just go do what you have to do, because then people's opinions are getting in your ear, and then, you get distracted from what it is that God is trying to do in your life versus, what everybody else thinks is better for your life. And, God has a plan for us, and we don't want to get distracted, nor do we want to stay at the Jordan for the rest of our lives or wandering back in the wilderness for the rest of our lives. We want to make sure that we make it into the promised land. We want to make sure that we become overcomers of the things in life in which God, we'll be able to be like, okay, well, yeah, I came to my promised land. Yeah, God showed me some things. Yes, I messed up. Yes, but I came back around. I changed things. These are the things that I overcame. These are the things that I did wrong. But now I can help you better understand what it will take you to get to the place in which you need to be, because God taught me how to do it. Here are my trials and my errors. Here are, what, happened to me on my weakest days. Here's what happened to me on my highest days. Yeah, my faith wavered on these days. Yeah, sometimes I strayed. Yeah, sometimes, things didn't always go my way. But yes, I still try to keep my eye on God. Yes, I was still praying. Yes, I was still fasting. Did you trust God with it all? Did you try to take things into your own hands? What were your errors in which you did on your way to where it was that God was trying to take you? You'll be able to help other people in the situations. The Bible talks about how in Matthew 18, verse 19 through 20, again, I say unto you, if two of you agree about anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where two or three gather in my name, there I am with them. We will see that, Joshua, the spies who went into the Jericho, they had gathered, they met Rahab when they got into the promised land, and Rahab really helped them out. They gathered, they agreed that God was going to take over this land, and so they agreed on that. Rahab was able to get saved, and her family was able to get saved, and they were able to take over Jericho. So when you get to the place of where it is that God has called you to do, there's going to be people there who know you're coming. They know that it's like that feeling you just get. That there's someone you have to meet up with. I met someone at camp, and instantly our souls just connected. Like, it was like I knew her for years. Her name was Amy. She was sweet as can be, and like I just felt like I knew her forever. But instantly we just connected, and she was such a wonderful female. So like you'll just know who it is. Like your souls will just bind. It'd be just an instant connection, and it may be somebody in your promised land in which you connect with that may that you may never expect. Look at Rahab; she was a prostitute. But one thing I do know is we need to make sure that we change our strategy. We can't do the same thing looking for different results as we go into the place where God has called us to be. So I love you guys so much, and I encourage you guys to take a look at the last few questions, and have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. All right, you guys, God bless. Peace. How are you going to do things different from the last time so you don't fail? Do you have a plan? Do you pay attention to the person before you or your own mistakes from the last time so that you don't mess up?